By the rivers of Babylon, yeah, we sat down and we cried when we remembered Jerusalem. We were sick, Lord, near to dying.
Shalom, shalom, family. Welcome to another Tanakh review. My name is Zurishaddai, one of the teachers of Congregation Beit CHOKMAH BINAH, located in the Red Hook section of Brooklyn, New York. Giving all glory and all praise to the Most High King of the universe, Yehudah, for life, food, clothing, and shelter, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Thanking the Creator of heaven and earth for all things and everything. Giving glory to his high and holy name, thanking him for waking us up this morning. And I pray that the Creator will bless each and every one of us, those of us who are listening, who diligently listen on a weekly basis, who come on and join us and think that what we have to say or what Nasik has to say is worthy of listening to. So we give due respect to the leadership of the congregation, even my brother, Chief Prince Yehudah ben Yissaschar, and also praying that the Most High God continue to be with him and his family and the lost of his Ima. And I pray that the Most High God will continue to be with all those who have gone through any tragedies in these past weeks, these past months, and this past year, and the Gregorian calendar, as we conclude the actual Gregorian calendar and go into a new year into the Gregorian calendar. This show is pre-taped, so this is actually the day before the New Year's on the Gregorian calendar. So we pray that the Most High God will continue to be with his people, Yisrael, wherever we might be scattered in the four corners of the earth. And I pray that the Creator will continue to bless us all and return us back to the land which he promised our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So without any further ado, I'm going to pass it on to one of my teachers and my mentors, even Nasik, Zurishaddai ben Yehudah. How are you, Nasik?
Great, Baruch Hashem. First of all, let me give praises to the Supreme Intelligent of the universe, God of my forefathers, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and due respect to the platform on the D.C.B channel platform, the spiritual leader, Chief Prince Yehudah ben Yissaschar, the host, Chief Uzael, and the princes, chiefs, Rabbinate, Connie, Maureen, brothers and sisters and visitors to the channel. Greet you all and tell my forefathers, Shalom Aleichem, and an early Shabbat Shalom. And I'd like to start off as usual. Pranay Septai Titakofi Yagichi Theaka, O Lord, on my lips, my mouth shall declare thy praise. Last time we was coming near the 11th Sidra, which was Wayagosh, and then today we're coming into Wayaki and the Sidra. But before that, I had a couple of questions I had to address. I think it was asked on the comments, and they asked which textbook I use, and I use what's commonly used in two major places, which is D.C.B, Shema, Yisrael, and it doesn't matter much about which text, but this is the one I'm using right here, the Holy Scriptures text, so you probably can see that. And it just, it got comments in the back of the book and some other stuff, but basically it's considered, it got the whole Tanakh in there, the Torah portion, which is called the Chumash part, the writings and the prophets and the writings in that order, Where in another text that will be more for an advanced group, which is still a Tanakh, was the Stone edition, which is this one here. Been around for a while, but I only recommend it for those that's pretty much in advance, in there, because they have the comments. And if you're not into a lot of, say, rabbinic traditions, midrashim, false stuff like that, other different types of commentaries outside of that. Then and then the English part, the Hebrew going to be the same no matter which scripture you get. So whether you get the one I just showed you, or you get Hertz, or you get maybe what's it at Jerusalem with that's the Hebrew, it has the Hebrew in it. The Hebrew going to be the same across the board for the most part in all texts when it's talking about the Tanakh. It's going to be the same. It's the English translations that be different, between different books when it's the English translation used. And on that note, also to be mindful, those that might have a regular King James Version scriptures, because the place I grew up with, we used the King James Versions. We just studied out of a Hebrew Tanakh, just to be more familiar with what actually is the languages that's used in Hebrew and the words. Because words, there's no two words in one language that means the exact same thing. It has unique differences, even though sometimes we might overlap it with other things. You would say as synonyms, but they doesn't have the exact same meaning. And so we would, at the time, my place of BINAH was formulated, you had a lot of people that's familiar with the King James Version of the Bible. And so that being said, the King James Version of the Bible at that time, almost everybody in the household had one. Whether they read it or not, they had one in the house. So we use that, but you're going to find a lot of differences in some chapters, how they break it down, the order of the books, the way, like I said before, where the Tanakh, you have the first 5, and then you have the prophets, and then you have the writings and stuff like that at the end. When the King James Versions, you have pretty much the lineup of the first 5, and you have the writings, and then you have the prophet at the end to make it more smooth, the transition between the last chapter of the Tanakh, or what they refer to as the Old Testament, and where it could blend better with the New Testament with Matthew's. So those are some of the differences. And then when I might say this verse here, as a reading in certain parts of the Chumash or other parts of the prophecy, you might not have the exact same verse listed in your book. It might be either in the same chapter or a little later or something like that. So those are the only differences. But for the most part, almost, now this New World Translation of scriptures and stuff like that, I only seen a few of them in the early days when they started talking about the New World Translation. And that's because of the style of English that's used. And most of us that got some time in it, got a certain amount of age, or baby boomers, so to speak, we're pretty much familiar with the style of English that's used in most of the in most of the scriptures. It's just more so a lot of people more contemporaries have problem with the style of English being used. So you always got to have yourself a teacher. You got to always discuss scriptures. One thing that you just don't read it on your own. You must not only before you apply it to yourself, you got to discuss certain things. You share your insights, and hear other people's opinions. But you're going to talk a lot about that in the Proverbs later on. So that's I hope I answered the question that was there posted. And I also like to thank those that sent their condolences in a reply from my brother, my young brother. So I appreciate that. And that's also falls in line, similar to this particular sidra with Waikiki, when we have the last of the major patriarchs, Abraham and Yitzchak, now Yaakov getting ready to make his transition. And the theme is basically about what acts of kindness you have. So a lot of times when we go to a funeral, we're not actually necessarily there to support the dead. We show a respect and recognizing that somebody important to us will be leaving out of our midst in life. But more so, we there to support the family. And that's one of the great things. See, a lot of people consider I'm just going there to the funeral just to show my respect for the brother or sister that left. That's good and that's laudable. But your main support system is to support the family that's left behind and to have missing those loved ones. As we're going to see, sort of, if you got need to extrapolate, I won't elaborate as much in this particular citrus YAH. Now, last week we know that the brothers got united, and when they got united, and let me just say, well, before I get to that, when the brothers got united last week, one of the things, how torah that went on that coincide with YAH is coming out of the book of Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, 16th verse to the 19th verse. I want you to focus on those verses. I know it starts from the 15th, but from the 16th verse to the 19th verse, they have the word echad, which means one. Not first, but one. So when we think of echad, and you say, okay, from the 16th verse to the 19th verse, the word echad, which means one, and it's talking considering the tribes of Israel, which is under Ephraim, and the tribes of Yehudah, which is Judah, but his companions. But the Ephraim was the descendant of Joseph, and that unity, of oneness, that number one is mentioned 7 times in that Torah. 7 times, just that word echad. So it might bear some discussion concerning on the number one that's used there as we move forward. So now we know Yaakov and them already settled in the land of Goshen, in the land of Egypt. So we're in the settling now. So we're going to pick up the story in YAH, which means and he lived. And it's strangely enough, every time we get the word somebody living, it's always about their death. So is it, why would they use the term like Haye Sarah? But when we read the life of Sarah, we read about how old she was when she died. And we find out a little bit about her burial. We heard that Abraham eulogized her, but we don't know all the things he spoke concerning her. We just know he eulogized her. We know from the little stories that the scriptures give concerning her that she was a dynamic woman. She was a dynamic woman, as to say. Matter of fact, when you think about her, you think about the first beautiful woman in Eshekayah, and a woman of valor. So she's the first female that we read about in Genesis that her beauty is stated. Not saying anybody else before wasn't beautiful, but the first one, the matriarch. And all the matriarchs of our ancestors were beautiful women. Not just physical beauty isn't, is that's all that was about? No, but that was a start. And I think it was a great start. But let's go on. So YAH, she dies, and YAH, Jacob dies in this here, and we come to the end of Jacob's life. So they're gonna give you I'm gonna read the opening and then elaborate a little bit on it so I can save some time. So it starts from the 47th chapter, 28th verse, and it continues to the end of Genesis. So I'm not gonna cover everything in the Sidra as usual, but I'm gonna highlight and point out some interesting things here. Excuse me. So the 28th verse of the 47th chapter. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the days of Jacob, the years of his life, were 147 years. And the time drew near that Israel must die. And he called his son Joseph and said to him, If now I found favor in thy sight, put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and deal kindly and truly with me. Bury me not, I pray thee, in Egypt. But when I sleep with my fathers, thou shalt carry me out of Egypt and bury me in their burying place. And he said, I will do as thou hast said. And he said, Swear unto me. And he swore unto him, and Israel bowed down upon the bed's head. Now, it's something very interesting here that I like to just focus on a little bit before we go into the next chapter. One of the things is that all of us, if we're blessed, which is a select few, to get to become a ripe old age, we're going to depend on somebody to handle, when we make transition, our body. We're going to depend on somebody. We're going to always leave something undone. We're going to always leave something for someone else. And all our plans, if we're blessed, a couple may be carried through beyond our time on earth. But it is that one of the things is that while with Jacob, he'd been in the land of Egypt at this time, 17 years. The gematria, the numerical value for YAH is 34. So according to most commentaries, they trace it back 17 years Joseph was in with his father, Jacob, before he was snatched up and sold into slavery and wound up in Egypt. And he was missing for 22 years, He was missing for 22 years. And that after Jacob come down, which is in the second year of the famine, he got to spend 17 years with Joseph. Now you say, how did he really spend those years with Joseph? All right. So YAH has a numerical value of 34 years, saying that that's actually what he actually lived and enjoyed his best time in life. Those 17 years with his son and the 17 years after. He didn't expect to live that long because, as we read in YAH, it's enough that my son Joseph is alive. I will go see him, see his face, and then I will die. So he also knew that he's going to die in Egypt. He knew automatically that he's not going to return back to the land of Canaan alive. He's not going to return back alive. So he knew that on the onset of going down into Egypt. So now you wonder, and you discuss it more, I like to say, why would he wait, all that time when he was told by the Creator that you're going to die in Egypt? Why you wait till now, 17 years later, to call and send for Joseph to get this request? Those are some things to think about. And then another thing, because most of us try to get in life insurance today and plan, we don't like to think about, but plan for our final day on the planet and our transition. But one of the things that we got also that's raised a thought is that why is it, if he wanted to be with Joseph, why they stay so separate all this time, which we're going to find later on. And then he make this. He said he want Joseph to swear. He wanted him to swear, when you honor the father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. If you have such a great relationship, why do you need to have Joseph swear? He's your son. Since he's your son, he should have that honor and respect to comply, without even talking about I need to swear. So there's a lot of discussions on that part as well. You could discuss that as well. And then when we go further, it says, it said, bury me, and bury me in a location. So a special location, right? The cave, where Abraham purchased the cave for Mother Sarah. And where he was buried, where Isaac's buried, Rebecca's buried, and Leah, as we find out later on in this particular portion, is also buried there. So in that location, so you want him not only that to transport the body. So that means your entourage, you got 11 other sons. Why focus on a son that's been gone for a long time and entrust him with the task of transporting your body and making sure you're buried in that particular location? So these are some of the things and that's there. And after that, when Joseph just said, I'll do as I said, Yaakov wasn't satisfied. You don't trust Joseph? If you don't, why make him swear? After he said I would do that. So those some things just in the opening to discuss, and look more into, because we're talking about family now, and we're talking about a father and a son relationship. We're talking about tier levels of authority and honor. And one of the sad things about it is that it's difficult for a father or a mother, for that matter, but I'm just saying in this case a father, to depend on their children to make sure that they are taken in place, their wishes are complied with. I got to depend on you. And if you say no, there's nothing I can really do. If you say yes, I'm truly not sure if I'm going to be guaranteed that that's going to happen. And even if, I'm telling you to swear, I got to believe. If I say swear that, then I got to believe that your spiritual side, your God-fearing side, got to be that strong that other than your death, you will not forsake that obligation and duty. All right. So these are some of the things there. And then when you swear and you die before you can perform that, that's another question to think about. How did that stand on heaven? What would you think? So there's a lot of touchy situations and family issues that comes out here. And then we get to the 48th chapter, and it said, "And it came to pass after these things that one said to Joseph, Behold, thy father is sick. And he took with him his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And one told Jacob and said, Behold, thy son Joseph cometh unto thee. And Israel strengthened himself and sat upon the bed." Now, before we go into the third verse, this is two different. The first four verses, as we read earlier, pretty much it covers a separate incident when Jacob told Joseph, "This is what I want done." Now, somebody told Joseph, "Your father is sick." So Joseph had to hear from somebody that his father is sick, but yet he longed for his father all these years as his father longed for him. How did they stay so separate? Why did they stay so far apart? Why the news had to reach Joseph instead of Joseph being constantly around when his father mentioned about his deathbed, checking up on him very periodically? And there's a lot of comments on that. Some say, well, maybe the discussion about why you've been in Egypt so long. I mean, you've been here all this time before I came here. Why you didn't reach out? Or what really happened to you? I mean, give me the details. You know how we are. I need the, all the little 411 details about what went down, how you endure, how you make it up here to this position. What was going on? Some say that's one of the reasons why he stayed at a distance, so he don't have to shame his brothers. But you could discuss it further. But we see from the story here that they stayed a ways apart, where somebody had to relate to Joseph. And, it's anonymous. Who's the person that told Joseph that his father was sick? And one of the strange things, when you look at it, that one said to Joseph, "Behold, thy father is sick." So automatically we know that's not one of the brothers. Or could it be one of the brothers? Because it's not named the individual. So you could discuss those things as well. Would it be a runner that's not running father, or one of the brothers? And we know 5 of the brothers was brought before Pharaoh to be part shepherds for Pharaoh. So who's the go-between? So those are some of the things to consider. And there's a lot of, viewpoints on that. But I want to bring out how intriguing these stories are as we go forward. And in the 4th verse it said, "And he said unto me, Behold, I will make thee fruitful." In the 3rd verse, actually. "And Jacob said unto Joseph, God Almighty appeared unto me at Luz in the land of Canaan. And he blessed me and said unto me, Behold, I'll make thee fruitful and multiply thee, and I'll make thee a company of people, and will give this land to thy seed after thee for everlasting possession." So before we go to the 5th verse, I don't want to omit certain things. I usually gloss over a lot of stuff just to try to save time. But some things I have to backtrack. One, that when we look carefully, when Joseph came in, he's second in charge. Why is it that that's his father, and he's second in charge in the land of Egypt, that he had to make an announcement to go and see his sick father? Why is that? That somebody had to say, "Oh, Joseph's waiting to see you." And from that is a lot of customary things. When somebody happened to be in the hospital, it became a tradition amongst certain, pious people, that if you go to visit a person in the hospital, because the door is open, you really just don't walk right in. Because the person that's in the hospital or in the sick bed, or in the house, whether it be in the hospital or the house, you give them time to be prepared to receive you. Usually don't barge in unless they're completely unconscious. You're just checking on or something like that. But normally, if you know they're conscious, you first want to find out if they're conscious enough to receive your visit. And you want to give them a heads up that I'm waiting for your admission to come and check up on you. So it's a natural courtesy. Most of us don't do that, and I say most of us, I'm saying including myself. Sometimes being such in a hurry to get there, and after you go through all the protocols of getting the pass to travel here and there and trying to find a room if it's your first time there, and if somebody very dear to you, you usually come rushing in. But if the most courteous thing, the most considerate thing, which we all can work on, is that whether the person in the hospital, whether the person is in the bedroom, anything like that, you allow them, you ring the bell, knock on the door, make an announcement. I'm outside. It's okay if I come and see you for a moment. And if they're conscious, it's one thing. If they ain't conscious, then I guess you have to do, according to the circumstances. But if they're conscious, then that's it. All right, so these are some of the protocols that we learn from Scripture. All right, and he brings back, his first thing he have in memory is when God first talked to him, when the Creator first communed with him, when he had that dream of the ladder ascending from earth to heaven, and angels ascending and descending. So he reflects back the first time God talked to him, and he charged Joseph. And while he reflecting back, why are you going to tell Joseph about that dream now? I believe he told him that in the past. So why now this particular dream? So there's so much stuff to cover in there. and he said he was blessed. All right, so now it says in the fourth verse, well, I'm going to skip on down to fifth. And now thy two sons who were born unto thee in the land of Egypt, before I came unto thee in Egypt, are mine, Ephraim and Manasseh, even as Reuben and Simeon shall be mine. And thy issue that thou begettest after them shall be thine. They shall be called after the names of their brethren and their inheritance. So in other words, I'm not limiting you to just two sons. You might have more sons. But these two, I'm going to adopt. And as we go forward, I'm just going to read through this here and point out a couple of things. All right. And he's saying he made them on the level of Reuben and Simeon. So they just have as much right as they have. And that's the two oldest. And that is, okay. And then it goes on, the 7th verse. And as for me, when I came from Padam, Rachel died unto me in the land of Canaan, in the way when there was still some way to come to Ephrath. And I buried her there in the way to Ephrath, the same as Bethlehem. And Israel beheld Joseph's sons and said, who are these? So now what we have before we get to this 9th verse, I want to bring out is that he recalled his dream, his first dream, and he recalls his first loss, and he recalled his most broken heart. The loss of the woman that he worked and spent all that time in Padam Aram, which is the name is short for Padam now. I spent all that time for her, and she died young, delivering me a child. So she gifted me another son and left me at the same time. My whole trip. And I just told you about how I want to be buried. And I didn't do that with your mother. So that is showing you that that's still paying them strong. So could that be part of the reason why he made him swear? Or going beyond what happened in your life and tragedy and moving on beyond that? Because Joseph was there when Benjamin was born. And the rest of the brothers was there when Benjamin was born. And yet, she's buried alongside of the road. And the place itself was part of Benjamin's territory later on. The tomb of Rachel is actually part of Benjamin's territory as we go later on in Scripture. But we're going to go a little bit further. And in the 9th verse, and it said, and Joseph said unto his father, they are my sons whom God had given me here. And he said, bring them, I pray thee, unto me, and I will bless them. Before we go to 10th verse, Yaakov was in Egypt for 17 years. He already had met Joseph, his sons, knew their name, and also, blessed Pharaoh. So now, why is it now that he asks, who are they? Can he recognize him? Now we know later on that his eyes was heavy. Couldn't keep his eyes open as much. We know he's a little ill. He strengthened himself. Made himself, because sometimes a person will strengthen himself to let you know that I may be not all I can be right now, but I'm in control of my faculties, and I got enough strength to be rational. So he strengthened himself when he heard that Joseph was there. So we got a lot of stuff that's going on here that I'm trying to get past a little bit. And Joseph said God gave him no sons. Now the eyes of Israel was dim for age, that he could not see, and he brought them near unto him, and he kissed them and embraced them. All right, so we have a lot of things that's similar. All right, in this chapter, I'm just going to bring out a couple highlights very quick, because I know I'm going to get back to them. One thing, when Yaakov lived in the land 17 years. So he spent as much time with his favorite son, the place where his favorite son was, as when he left. We have a similarity. Abraham stayed with his father for 75 years. But the son that he loveth, the son that would be an heir to carry on the patriarchal lineage, which Isaac, that was 75 years he spent with Isaac. So he left his father for 75 years, and he had the pleasure of spending 75 years with his beloved son, Isaac. So that's similar. Also, just when Abraham was trying to secure the dynasty of Isaac, he had a servant swear, and you have also the similar thing where Yaakov was saying, look, a legacy is not here. It's in the land. Make sure you put me there. So that's where we belong. And that's where your parcel is where it's at, over there in the land. So we're going to fast forward down just a little bit about the blessing, because I want to just finish on the blessings with Ephraim and Manasseh. And Israel said unto Joseph, I have not seen, and I have not thought to see thy face. And lo, God had let me see thy seed also. And Joseph brought them out from between his knees, and he fell down on his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand towards Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand towards Israel's right hand, and brought them near unto him. And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hands wittingly. The word that's used there is sikel, from the word sekel. Sekel means intellect. So he was using his intelligence. So it wasn't like I'm feeble, I'm not sure, because it takes a little effort to crisscross your hands, so he had to crisscross his hands. And for Manasseh was the firstborn, and he blessed Joseph and said, the God before whom my father Abraham and Isaac did walk, the God whom had been my shepherd all my life long unto this day, the angel had redeemed me from all evil. Bless the lads, and let my name be named in them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. And when Joseph saw that his father was laying his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him, and he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head unto Manasseh's head. And Joseph said unto his father, not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put thy right hand upon his head. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. And he also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. Howbeit his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations. All right. This blessing here, a multitude of nations, is what the blessing of Abraham from Isaac to Jacob, be a multitude of nations, that dropped on Ephraim itself. All right. So now, why you got a lot of questions. Why did Joseph wait till after he heard the blessing? He seen the hands there. Why he waited till he heard the blessing in order to say something? those things to discuss. And it said, and he blessed them that day, saying, by thee shall Israel bless. God make thee as Ephraim and Manasseh. And he set Ephraim before Manasseh. All right. You notice the blessing. Now, this is a blessing that most traditional people follow on usually after candlelighting time. That on every Shabbat, that they actually wind up blessing their children, their sons, and now some people start blessing their daughters as well. But the blessing for the children of Israel as a whole, and mostly the sons who use it. Now, Joseph himself was upset because Manasseh was his firstborn. And I said last time I was going to focus more on the names, you know what I mean? And we know that when he first had Manasseh, he said, Lord, maybe forget the toil in my father's house. And then Ephraim, he said, God had made me fruitful, and in the land of my affliction, So now, that before we get into the metaphoric, discussions on those things, and I like to say, one, we got to ask ourselves, how many of us today even think about blessing our children? Just believes blessing, spiritual blessing. You might say in a basketball game, good luck. You might say for a job, good luck. But actually blessing them on a spiritual level, where it's not so much a basketball game, not so much about a job, but more about a future being continued in the line of God. How many of us even think about that for our sons or our daughters? That's a tall order. We don't read where Abraham blessed his children. We read where Isaac blessed his children. Great as Noah was, we didn't read where he blessed Shem. He blessed the God of Shem. So just think for a moment on those areas there. We read the first time anybody outside of Isaac blessed anybody else from children other than Melchizedek blessing Abraham himself. We read where that Laban, Jacob's father-in-law, who was out to kill him, blessed all of his children that Jacob had and kissed his daughters. So blessing was important. That's a thing that seemed to have been did away with most of the people today. They don't consider him blessing. They figure, I'm going to leave a will for him. I'm going to give him with this. I'm giving him that. But a verbal spiritual concept of blessing, in today's eyes, tend to be very, very, vague and very thin. It's not even produced that much these days. But amongst those that follow tradition, they usually bless their children, and then accompany every Friday night, and also on Call Nidre. So it's a blessing, and then also it's a blessing that's used. Now you notice from the beginning of this particular portion, Jacob already referred to them as Ephraim and Manasseh. In the 40th chapter, it's already referred to as that these are the children. All right. And when he said, I came to see, I came unto thee, unto Egypt, it said, he's talking about mine, Ephraim and Manasseh, even as Reuben and Shimon. So Jacob already, before he put his hands on them, already considered Ephraim greater than Manasseh in that sense. You already seen that. And Joseph didn't say anything when Jacob said that. So you wonder, what was Joseph waiting on? And also, one of the key faculties when we think about that, it seemed like Jacob was perpetuating a family problem. The younger guy, according to most traditions, Shem was younger than Ham. We definitely know Abraham was younger than his brother. He wasn't the oldest. We definitely know Isaac was younger than Ishmael. We definitely know Yaakov was younger than Esau. We definitely know that Joseph was younger than his other 10 brothers. And if we say sister as well. So now this being perpetuated about a younger individual, and Joseph himself, knowing he was favored, have a problem with it. But now you got a difference of things that change in this scenario, because now it's not the same as perpetuating a fault. Yaakov seen the greatest thing. If I'm going to talk about forgetting my family's toil, then why would that be the dominant blessing? But what is more laudable is your position at the time. Can you be productive in a strange land? Can you be productive outside of your element? Joseph proved he was productive outside of his element. He's able to prosper outside of his element. That means that we used to say you could take the people out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the people. Well, the thing is that Joseph proved that, and that's a legacy for the children of Israel. It's not your environment that contains you. It's you supposed to conquer your environment. That sounds like something that was told to Adam. You know what I mean? Not only be fruitful, but dominate, supplant. You know what I mean? Make things a lot better. Be productive. So the thing is that it's not your environment that's supposed to really, really impact your moral values and your prosperity in life. So naturally, it would be natural for Yaakov to recognize Ephraim, because all the children of Israel is in Egypt. Yaakov was told he's going to die in Egypt. So how are you going to get forward in Egypt? And as we get ready to go into the next portion of the Sidra, next Sidra, you find out that they were doing just that, being fruitful and multiplying. That's their only crime. They were successful in Egypt. So we learned a few things from this particular story here. I'm just going to move on just a little bit more in there and bring out a couple of other things. That the blessing, how we know that now we don't have sibling rivalry, because the blessing, Manasseh wasn't angry with Ephraim. Ephraim didn't feel pumped up over Manasseh. And also, the blessing is in the singular, because it said, now you got the grandchildren that's promoted on the level with Reuben and Shimon, and say, all Israel supposed to be blessed. And the blessing is in the singular. It should have been in the plural if we talk about two individuals being blessed. And you notice what else is in the singular? The priestly blessing. The priestly blessing that people say every week. And then those that say every day, that go down, that say the Amida every day. The priestly blessing is in there. It's for all Israel, but yet it's in the singular, as a unity, as united. So this is the first time you have that, sibling rivalry eradicated. I'm as happy for the next individual for what he got, and I'm satisfied with my lot in life. So that's what we have with Manasseh and Ephraim. That's why Jacob said, this is what you should say. Teach the rest of the people, that descendants from my people, how they should act with one another. Because I lived through that sibling rivalry. You lived through that sibling rivalry. My father lived through that sibling rivalry. And we need to stop it, bring an end to it. So this is one of the things that we find here in this particular story. All right, we're just going to move on, and it said, the 21st verse, it says, And Israel said to Joseph, behold, I die, but God will be with you and bring you back unto the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to thee one portion above thy brothers, which I took out the hand of Amorites with my sword and with my bow. We didn't read about that conflict. Most people say Shechem. Even in Joshua's times, we don't read about the conflict in Shechem, but we read about Joshua giving his last address, major address in Shechem. But we know it's like in the ruins when we read the book of Joshua, but we don't know about the conflict they had, because we have other legends and stuff in reference to certain things, because you figure if you're out the land for a long time, who watching the cave of Machpelah? We know that was brought. You're watching that parcel of land that he brought from Shechem. We know that was brought. And you didn't go leave Shechem right away after the issue that happened in Shechem. So who's maintaining? Who's covering it? Who owns it? So it's a lot of things to go on to discuss as we move forward. 29th chapter talks about the blessings. And we know that the first 4 don't sound too good. All right. When we look about Jacob, when he was talking about the God, he mentions the angel that redeemed him. I didn't want to leave that out. The angel that redeemed Jacob from all evil. You say, well, didn't God redeem me? Well, I'm talking about an angel now redeeming me. Ain't God my savior? Then why I'm focused on this angel? And we know angels was an intricate part of Jacob's life in that sense. And when Jacob told Joseph, I'm going to give you something, a portion above your brothers, it's in the land because I had a revelation with God. You never had a revelation with God. You had some dreams. You were able to, you was able to help interpret dreams, but you never had an intimate relationship with God. I had an intimate relationship with God. I had an intimate thing. So so Joseph didn't have that like that, even though he had these dreams. That's kind of aided in his future. Dreams got him in trouble. Dreams took him out of trouble. But that's not the same as a revelation directly from God that Yaakov had. Yaakov had dreams, plus he had a revelation. So that puts him on a different level. All right. So what Pharaoh could give you and what I'm giving you is different. Because Pharaoh give you something that's from man and another man can take it. But what I'm giving you come from God, and nobody else could take it. That can be yours. So much for that part. And we're just going to talk about a few of the blessings here. We know the first couple of blessings, Jacob shows that he have a memory. He go back some years and talk about Reuben and his act. He go back some years and talk about Shimon and Levi and their act. But he never cursed any of the children. He just and he wanted to tell them about what's going to happen in the last days, the latter days, when he called for them. And that really didn't come through, where he was able to tell them everything that's going to happen in the latter days. And when people think about the curse, the blessing that it says like a curse be their anger. That's all Jacob cursed was their anger, their fierceness. But if it's that bad, why you want to share some of that bad stuff with all the rest of the nation? Because sometimes you got to have a righteous indignation. And sometimes you need to have that kind of mentality that Shimon and Levi had. And just too much of it is a curse, just like anything else. Too much of anything can become, a curse. So the thing is that he was saying, I'm going to scatter you. Just a little sprinkle. People that's put salt in their food, you put too much salt on there, you can't eat it. Too much seasoning, you can't eat it. So all this stuff comes out in that area. And we know Judah, he got his blessing, but we know that Joseph got a blessing again, and other tribes. But some things that seem kind of rough, and there, it's knowing where your weakness lie. Sometimes people got to be told where you're weak at. You say, I got to save you from yourself. So I got to explain this about you. And only if you know about where your problem lies, then you can rectify it and harness it. because some people don't know where their strength at and where their weakness is at. Sometimes you got to be proven to find out where your strength is and where your weakness at to yourself. So the tribes, I'm not going to go over the blessings of the 12 tribes there, but I want to focus on the latter part of this thing, where it says in the 28th verse of the 49th chapter, it says, and all these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is it, that their father spoke unto them and blessed them. Everyone according to his blessing, he blessed them. So I let you know that it was a blessing, knowing where you weak at. So a lot of people say, well, it seems like they didn't get a blessing. Well, that's what you're looking for. You got to say, well, what I'm looking for from my father. And what do you need to say about me? I know a little bit about me, and he's seen me coming up. So he knew me before I knew me. So if he knew me before I knew me, then he should be able to tell me a little bit about myself if he's been around me all my life. So this is some of the things I'm bringing in reference to that. All right. And then we know that in the 29th verse of that same chapter, and he charged them and said unto them, I am to be gathered unto my people. Bury me with my fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephraim the Hittite, in the cave that is in the field of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the land of Canaan, which Abraham brought with the field from Ephraim the Hittite for possession of a burying place. There they buried Abraham and Sarah, his wife. There they buried Isaac and Rebekah, his wife. And there I buried Leah. The field and the cave that is in it, therein, which was purchased from the children of Het. And when Jacob made an end of charging his sons, he gathered up his feet unto his bed and expired and was gathered unto his people. So now, what we find here is that Joseph was swore that this is what he's supposed to take care of. But he made the other sons aware that that's also your job as well. So why did he make Joseph swear, but he didn't make the rest of the children swear? These are some things for discussion that you can go forward on. In the 50th verse it said, and Joseph fell upon his father's face and wept, upon him and kissed him. And Joseph commanded his servants, the physician, to embalm his father. So now let's go past that. You know that Jacob was embalmed. He went to a mummification for 40 days. They mourned him for 30 days. They took him back, and buried him, in the cave. And on the way back, now I'm gonna go for the last part where it's on the return. It says, 14th verse of the 50th chapter. And Joseph returned unto Egypt, he and his brethren, and all that went up with him to bury his father, after he had buried his father. And when Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, he saw him was dead, he saw him already. They said, it may be that Joseph will hate us and will fully requite us all the evil which we did unto him. And they sent a message unto Joseph saying, all right, that sounds like some years back. Sent a message. All right, sent a message saying, thy father did command before he died, saying, so shall ye say unto Joseph, forgive, I pray thee, now the transgression of thy brethren, and their sin, for that they did unto thee evil. And now we pray thee, forgive the transgression of the servants of the God of thy father. Ain't that something? Saying we ain't no ordinary folks. We're the servant of God. So you just can't treat us like anybody. We already talked with our father about it. You had respect for him. But now our father's gone. We are actually the servants of God. That's pretty powerful to say that. And Joseph wept when they spoke unto him, and his brethren also went and fell down before his face. And they said, behold, we are thy bondsmen. And Joseph said unto them, fear not, for am I in the place of God? And as for you, You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it to pass as it is this day, to save much people alive. Now therefore fear ye not. I will sustain you and your little ones. And he comforted them and spoke kindly unto them. All right. So now we know we're going to finish off the particular portion where Joseph seen a lot of people there. But one of the things I like to bring out before I move on is that, and this is for a lot of discussion, did Joseph really forgive them? We're not even questioning whether they spoke with their father or not. Did Joseph forgive them or not? Did he say he forgave them or not? Since it's not a command in scriptures to forgive anybody. And when we look throughout all the scriptures, until the sin of the golden calf, it was never an ideology that existed where God forgive anybody. Never read any ideology. I don't care if you talk about Sumerian ideology, Egyptian ideology, Greek mythology, it's never a sense. We can understand why Pharaoh figured, look here, I mean, why try to ask for forgiveness, man? Why go through all that? Because that concept don't exist. The first time forgiveness is ever mentioned from a God is when we sin with the golden calf. And it's on conditions. It had parameters. So therefore, when we go over this and you want to discuss it, say we like to believe Joseph forgave him, but he definitely didn't forget this incident. And he said, I know what you meant to do. I know what you meant to do. Because somebody meant to do something and things turn out opposite. We're going to read something similar to that in the Proverbs, that you meant to do this here and it turned out for my good. Now, now that's okay. I can forgive you now because it turned out for my good in spite of what you intended. So all these different issues you could discuss. A lot of people say he forgave him. And on the other hand, you don't see it clearly written. So you spend a little time discussing that back and forth, in reference to that, in that area there. And they waited, and they sent a message before they came there themselves. So you got to think of all this intrigue. I'm sending a message, and I'm coming behind the message. That sounded like some years back. You know what I mean? Send the coat. Let them figure it out. Then we come on behind that, see what you come up with. So there's a lot of things in intrigue. So as I finish this here, I like to say, Kazak, we need to say, be strong, we're strong, and let's make one another strong. And you go over the story, discuss certain things, because we end with family issues, talking about family issues. And when we get ready to go into the book of Shemot, we're no longer talking about families, we're talking about a nation. So the transitions from families to nations. Genesis speaks on and deal with the family. Exodus now going to start to deal with the nation. So we're going to go straight to Proverbs, the 12th chapter. And most of it, about 28 verses, but they mostly explain themselves throughout the 28 verses. There's only 2 verses in there that's really just one line without an opposite, and that's the 14th and 28th verse. So we're going to try to go through that as expeditiously as possible.
We're in the book of Proverbs, chapter 12, starting from verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
It reads, whoso loveth knowledge loveth correction, but he that is brutish hateth reproof.
Okay, that's straight up. That's easy enough. That means that you don't want to be wrong. And you don't want to be strong and wrong. A lot of people rather be strong and wrong. That's simple enough. Go ahead.
Verse 2, a good man shall obtain favor of Yehovah, but a man of wicked devices will he condemn.
Okay, so that means right then and there that a guy that create wicked devices already, you already know his mindset, you know his character, and also that it's hard, to envision. And I was discussing earlier in the week that Marco Polo seen a gunpowder and stuff in China, and they used it for entertainment and everything. They didn't think of it so much as warfare, and making destructive elements of it and how to destroy. We find that more coming from Western civilizations, how to increase our military might. In the East, for the most part, people didn't focus on trying to increase their military might. They said, we either got it or we don't have it. That was it. We had one guy in the Israelite kingship that increased military might. His name was Uzzah. Only guy. Everybody else, it is what it is. You know what I mean? We got what we got. So this is one of the things, and he was a good king for a moment, but he stepped out his zone for a half a moment too as well. But let's read a little bit further what it says.
It reads, verse 3, man shall not be established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous shall never be moved.
Keep going.
A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she that doeth shamefully is as rottenness in his bones.
All right. So now they use the Eshet Kayim. Eshet Kayim is mentioned 3 places in twice in the Proverbs in the 31st chapter, and it's mentioned in the book of Ruth concerning Ruth. 3:11 or something like that. In the book of Ruth. All right. That's a rare thing, but it's a crown because every man like to have a wife that he could, say, this is my wife, and she make me look good because of her demeanor, because of her wisdom, her knowledge, her understanding, and her God-fearing quality. That's like a badge for a man. When we talk about sometimes we say you walk down arm in arm. Well, your arm ornament, we always think about a ring, a bracelet, a thick chain, but your arm ornament is that's your ornament. What kind of woman you got on that arm? And on the other side too, she could look at it and say, well, what kind of man she got holding her arm? So it's gonna work both ways, in some cases. In most cases, I should say, not some. But but it goes on to say, but the opposite is just as bad. 5.
Verse 5, it reads, the thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsels of the wicked are deceit.
Okay, that right then and there. All right, so that means people are gonna counsel to be crafty, to be able to do harm. So that's pretty much close to being self-explanatory, because they're gonna say, well, look here. What could I do next to mess somebody up? Let's get together on something, and let's huddle. And that's it won't be successful. It won't be deceptive. But it tells you what that kind of counsel is. It's nothing but deceit. Because now, just think of it from an intellectual level. If I'm wicked, and all my cronies are wicked, and we get together and say, look here, we're going to try to attack somebody, who can I trust in this council? We all wicked. So who can I trust? Yeah, man, that's a good idea. And I'm thinking the same thing. Well, I think we could do a little twist here. Now you're looking around your council of wicked guys, and you say, well, wow, that guy thought like that too? I thought I'm the only one who was like trying to push that and suppress that in the back of my mind. Now, who can I trust in this meeting? This is something to consider. And believe it or not, more often than not, in a council meeting, you get to know people when they show up. You get to know people a little bit better. Because if you have a laudable thing or unlaudable thing, you're going to start to see more of a person's character when you sit down and you try to plan something in the future for either yourselves or anybody else. You're going to discover the characters of people in council meeting. Continue.
It reads, verse 6, the words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver them.
Keep going.
The wicked are overthrown and are not, but the house of the righteous shall stand.
Keep going.
A man shall be commended according to his intelligence, but he that is of a distorted understanding shall be despised.
All right. So people going to say intelligence recognize intelligence, and people will commend you if you know certain things. And I say, wow, but if you exhibit a lot of foolery, they're going to condemn you. One of the things is that we got to try to hold a lot of the that foolishness. So and use a contrast, man. Seco, which is intellect. That's the term that's used in this particular portion in Hebrew. But go ahead, continue.
It reads, verse 9, better is he that is lightly esteemed and have a servant than he that playeth the man of rank and lack of bread.
That means right then and there, all right, servant, we could think of a regular servant, or we say a guy that worked and got little, all right? Whereas a guy that said, look here, I got a suit on, and I'm thinking, thinking about the YouTube thing we do sometime. But anyway, you got a suit on, and you got you got the jacket, you got a shirt sleeve a piece right here, and you got a collar on for the shirt, but ain't nothing else there, and you got the jacket over that, and then with these Zoom things you have, maybe something on the top covering you and nothing else below, because that's all you're going to see, So the thing is that a person that pass themselves off like they great, they got all this going on as a facade, and they starving. They said that's no respect for an individual like that, because you ain't good to yourself. How you gonna be good to somebody else? So therefore, that's why I said a guy that has a little. If he had somebody, and the thing is also it shows you that even if you have a little, if you're working with people, because you're gonna always need somebody to help you. So you might hire a guy because his skills is better in that area than yours. You say, look, I need you to come and help me. So you might have let me just go way back. You might have a TV with tubes on it, and yet this old guy here said, I used to work on TVs, man, when they had tubes back there in them days, but then it went with all this new technology and computer stuff, and he might have fixed that. And he said, you still got this old tube TV? But it shows to see what I want to see on it. And here it is that he got not only the TV, old tube TV, but he got a house to put it in. And you living in a cardboard box on the street because you're proud. All right? Or you ride the trains all night because you're proud. So let's read a little bit further.
It reads, verse 11, he that tilleth his ground shall have plenty of bread, but he that followeth after vain things is void of understanding.
All right. So you pay attention to your work. That's in a nutshell. Pay attention to your work. All right. Continue.
It reads, verse 12, the wicked desireth the prey of evil men, but the root of the righteous yieldeth fruit.
All right. We're going to stop here for a moment. Now, why would the wicked desire, the profit of evil men? Why would that? Because they so evil, I don't want to steal. Let him steal and let me take it from him. That's what it is. I don't feel like doing that stealing. I'm so corrupt that I'm gonna let so-and-so steal. I'm gonna let so-and-so do that deception. I'm gonna let so-and-so run that scam. And I'm just gonna rob and come in and take it. That's almost like the Robin Hood story, except that they ain't giving to the poor. And even if you can't do that, even if you want to give to the poor, because Robin Hood is a violation because you're taking from somebody else, even if they're wicked. They give to the poor, and we're not supposed to actually take from anybody. It got to be handed over to us, So this shows you about a wicked individual. See, I'm so bad that I'm only robbing bad guys, And you see movies like that. We only take from the rich, the evil rich. I continue.
Verse 13, it reads, in the transgression of the lips is a snare to the evil man, but the righteous cometh out of trouble. A man shall be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth, and the doings of a man's hands shall be rendered unto him.
Okay, right then and there. Because this is good, man. This is one of the verses that don't have no opposition. Because you're straight up true. So this one of the verses, only two verses in the whole proverb in section 12. This one and the last verse, they don't have no opposition, to it. This one's straight up saying these are some of the benefits by pursuing this here course. All right, 15.
Verse 15, it reads, the way of a fool is straight in his own eyes, but he that is wise hearkeneth unto counsel.
Okay, right then and there. All right, so that means right then and there that he only see that to be correct. He don't want to hear anything else. All right, but if you're an individual, you want to hear other people's opinions, even if it don't agree with you. You like to hear what they say about a certain subject matter that might be concerning you, that you might be involved in. But when a person, I don't need nobody that, to think for me. No, they're not thinking for you. They're helping you think for yourself when you have the right counsel. All right, let's read a little bit further.
Verse 16, it reads, a fool's vexation is presently known, but a prudent man concealeth shame.
In other words, a fool could be angry right quick, and you hear it in his mouth. He'll call you all kind of stuff. He'll be bleep, 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 Gort, bleep, bleep, because he's angry. I used to say a person that uses a lot of profanity is usually a fool trying to express himself the best way they know how. So, so he's revealing his intellect by not being able to hold and discipline himself with a certain situation. But a person that but the person himself that says prudent conceal his shame. In other words, all right, you said something about me really bad. I really didn't like it, but I'm not going to explode right now because it's not the time or the place. And I want to make sure I make my opposition the best way I can, maybe try to assassinate my character. So the thing is that sometimes, that's what it is, that a prudent individual say, look, I know this is not the time to discuss that. I know this is not the time to make the rebuttal. I'm going to choose the right time when it has the most impact. That's what it's all about. All right, continue.
It reads, verse 17, he that breatheth forth truth uttereth righteousness, but a false witness deceit.
Okay, keep going. That's
there
so clear.
is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health. The lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment.
Keep going.
The seed is in the heart of them that devise evil, but to the counselors of peace is joy.
Okay, right in there. All right, so now, first of all, sometimes when people say certain things, especially anger, evil individual, they say, man, that cut deep, man. You hit me hard with that one. You hit me hard, man. You had no considerations for me. And some people really go out their way to really hurt you with words and destroy you with their words. You know what I mean? So that's why, and I say this because it's one good quality, I have, that I share with my sons. I said, no matter how angry I get, no matter how much, me and your mother or something like that, a significant other, argue, I never, ever call them out of their name, ever. And I be up there, way up there with that temper, and I take a chill pill, calm down, because one of the worst things is have to apologize for something you meant. That's what I mean? That's a hard thing. apologize for something you meant at the time. You say, I meant that at the time. You know, and my sons, you know, they said, well, Abba, I said, well, let's check with your email. I never did that. You know, we had some serious issues sometimes, but I never ever did that. That's one discipline I always exercise. You know, I'm trying to get even better. You know, what I mean, where I don't use no vulgarity or something when I get ticked, but I never ever call, a significant other, anybody that I'm dealing with, any real derogatory thing like that. Period. Even if it seems mild, I don't do that because I don't never want to have to apologize for stuff like that. I can apologize, but I get angry and say, I don't hear that. I'm taking time out. I could apologize for that because I'm holding a lot of other stuff in, and this is what this teaches you here. That kind of refrain. But go ahead, continue. We almost at the end.
It reads, verse 21. There shall no mischief befall the righteous, but the wicked are filled with evil.
Keep going.
Lying lips are an abomination to Yehovah, but they that deal truly are his delight.
Lying lips is an abomination to us too. We don't like to hear liars. Even sometimes the story sounds too bizarre and it's supposed to be entertainment. We say, oh man, you could have told a better story than that. And this is a story for entertainment. We say it should have been a better storyline than that. So even in entertainment, we have a selection. But go ahead.
It reads, verse 23, a prudent man concealeth knowledge, but the heart of fools complaineth foolishness. The hand of the intelligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. Care in the heart of a man boweth it down, but a good word maketh it glad.
Keep going.
The righteous is guided by his friend, but the way of the wicked leadeth them astray.
All right.
The slothful man shall not hunt his prey, but the precious substance of man is to be intelligent. Diligent. Slika, to be diligent.
That's important. But that is intelligent. That is intelligent, though. Right. But looking at that verse again, the slothful man shall not hunt his prey. That means that even when he captures something, he ain't interested in wanting. He just that lazy. Say, you got something in the trap, man, out there, that you can use. Oh man, I don't feel like going to get it. But you laid the trap out there. So already you show that you laid a snare because you don't want to go hunting. That means you're in pursuit. You're not want to spend too much of your time there. And then when the snare snaps and caps something, now I'm still too lazy to go get it now. I'll get that later. It ain't going nowhere. So that's the way the slothful man is. That last verse, 28.
Verse 28 reads, in the way of righteousness is life, and in the pathway thereof there is no death. Hallelujah.
All right, that don't mean you're going to live immortal. The book don't focus on immortality. When it's letting you know that, you're going to live a decent life. You don't have to worry about people trying to take you out. So I hope you got something out of what I said. Any mistakes by my own, any questions you can leave in, or rebuttals you can leave in the chat. And like I said, this is recorded, a good year for everybody coming forth. And I'm not saying a good year for our fiscal year. Because we know in America, this is what it's about, the fiscal year. All right, the season ain't going to change. We in winter, they're going to still be winter when we cross over. Right? So the season ain't gonna change, but what we're talking about is the fiscal year. We got relatives we call uncle. We got all that kind of stuff going on there. We got bills that got to be set and deadlines to be met. So I hope everybody have a good year, not a happy year, but a good year, where that each day brings a better thing in your life. And with that, I say Shalom Aleichem and Shabbat Shalom, early Shabbat Shalom.
Hallelujah. Torah about Nasik. May the Most High God bless you, and may the Most High God bless each and every one of you. Shalom, shalom, and Yah willing, we will see you next week. Hallelujah.
Let's get knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We'll do our standing. All praises to the Most High, His laws and commandments. The hot CHOKMAH BINAH here to push it through your speakers. Judgment, truth, and love should be coming from the leaders. Yeah, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We'll do our standing. All praises to the Most High, His laws and commandments. The hot CHOKMAH BINAH here to push it through your speakers. Judgment, truth, and love should be coming from the leaders. Yeah.